And we are live. Pre-show for the Xbox Now podcast. Andy,
Boom!
how is it going? How are you?
I am bursting with energy. I kind of forgot what it's like to be rolling into the week of E3, and so just to get the first taste of just even though it was just a teaser trailer, watching Battlefield coming back is exciting. So I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. Yeah. Doing great as well. It's interesting that you say that because like we didn't have E3 last year. You know, we didn't have the week leading up to it like we have had for so many years. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it was really disjointed last year. Like you could go to IGN to get some things. You had Summer Game Fest. You kind of had it was everything. So to have a little bit more cohesion, I do think it's still pretty wild, like how many different events are happening. You know, PlayStation's not there, so they're having their own event.
Right.
And then you've got Games Fest. You've got, you got IGN is partnering in some way with E3, but it's also separate. So they're doing coverage, but they're in it. It's a lot, which gets me excited. It means it's going to be a ton of news, but it's a little hard to wrap your arms around. You got to get around it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. For sure. Well, should we get this thing started?
Let's get rolling.
All right, here we go. It is the Xbox Now podcast. I'm your host, Josh Schmidt. I got my good friend Andy with me. What is going on? How are you?
I am great. How are you?
So good, dude. We just got done watching the Battlefield 2042 reveal trailer, and I just want to know, how do you feel about fighting hurricanes and tornadoes?
Right? Oh, man, that brings me back to just like when they introduced Levolutions. I literally have here in my notes, it's like Levolutions with weather? Like, cool. Like, I know they can do great with the game engine, but I didn't know that I wanted to fight a hurricane until today.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty jazzed.
That was wild. That was wild. It was a nonstop just rush of excitement the whole time. I got the trailer running as our B-roll right now. We're seeing we're seeing just the pandemonium that's about to ensue. But you are a huge fan of this series. I'm kind of a, like I'll pick them up and play them. I loved playing like Bad Company back in the day, playing through those stories and stuff. They were just a great time. But this looks like I love what they did with the name. 2042 looks like we're going back to the style of play in a way, those massive battles of 1942. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm excited. So as you said, I'm a huge fan. Like, I've always been rooting for Battlefield. I love first-person shooters, especially competitive ones. But every year I always look forward to and was rooting for Battlefield to take supremacy over Call of Duty. And it's been a long time since they've been competitive. And so seeing them bring back, to me, it seems super clear that they know exactly what they're promising to players. And I think part of their audience is me. And the last time I was in Battlefield, I played them all. They're super fun. But Battlefield 4, I feel like, was the last time it had huge traction. And that scene in the trailer where you see the guy just beelining straight up, stalling out in the jet, jumping out in RPG. Everyone remembers that moment in that gameplay capture, and they're like, okay, here, this is our promise to you. We're going back to that fun kind of Battlefield experience. We know what you're looking for. Like, we love our old games that we did, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, but we're coming back. And I like the near future of it all. I think it's great. As someone who I'm just wondering what you think. I'm going to bring the hype for this game until the end of days. So I'd love to kind of, as you looking at this with maybe a little less bias.
I mean, I think it looks great, honestly. Like, we're seeing different locales, right? And from the most part, it kind of seems like we're seeing a multiplayer based on just the scale. But again, we don't really know. And there's just, I mean, there's a lot of boots on the ground. There's a lot of people that you're dealing with, and we've seen things like they were running around on the ice. We saw them in the shipping containers, which looked like, and again, it's just pure speculation at this point, but maybe a real close quarters, kind of a Call of Duty style map, maybe. Then these, wide open. You've got cities at night. Like, if this, now they could be showing us all the different single player locations, right? Maybe there's a massive campaign, and that's what we're seeing here as well. But it did seem like there was kind of just a lot of faceless characters, right? Which kind of made me think that this was more like kind of teasing the multiplayer, but it was just the reveal, right? That's all they said. This is just the Battlefield 6 reveal, and now it's called Battlefield 2042. I mean, that scene where he jumps out of the plane and then jumps back in, I was like, this is what video games are about, right? Like, this is I'm all in. I'm all in.
Yeah, I got really excited. I think that it was tough to know that we're going to start at 7 a.m. Pacific with an hour-long countdown. So they pushed us an hour. And I love this is a great tone piece. And I think you're right. They're focusing on multiplayer because that's where these games sell, right? I mean, Call of Duty, Halo, all the data suggests that a huge percentage of the population of the players of the game don't even go into the campaign. So it makes sense that they're leading with that foot forward. But I really thought this was going to be a full event. And so to get the full gameplay reveal update for June 13th felt like a little bit of a down note for me. I wanted to see some gameplay, but it also, I got into a different mode. All of a sudden I was like, ooh, June 13th. That's the same day that Microsoft. And so I scuttlebutt over to Twitter, and Andy McNamara, you guys might know him as the old chief editor of Game Informer. He since took up head of communications for shooters at EA. And he said, I hope you enjoy the trailer. We will be at Microsoft stage on the 13th. And so I know we had a bunch of thoughts of what this could mean, and we were speculating last week. Josh, how does this cement it? What does this mean?
I had this thought, and it kind of goes into the E3 predictions a little bit, but I had this thought that what if every game that is shown at Xbox's E3 is guaranteed to be on Game Pass?
Ooh, spicy. Caliente. All right.
And I mean, if that is the case, I mean, that's a huge play for Xbox. That's a massive play. And
oh yeah,
that means Battlefield 2042 would be on Game Pass. And I don't think EA loses out at all, because there's going to be, I mean, I'll be very surprised if there's not some kind of microtransaction for this game. Maybe, after the Star Wars Battlefront 2 ordeal, maybe that won't be the case, but I have a hard time believing, especially as popular as cosmetics are within the Call of Duty games. And we're seeing different, like, you're seeing different soldiers with different gear and stuff. You've got to think that there's probably going to be some cosmetics and probably even a season pass. So for this game to be on Game Pass, I don't think is too unrealistic. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, I'm doubling down at this point. I really believe that this is going to be a day and date Game Pass game. And I think the thing that sometimes we think about Game Pass is, if you're going to launch day and date, people are getting this game for free. But really, Phil Spencer said it before, every deal is structured differently with the studio or the publisher. And so they make money. Not even the synergistic way or even the cosmetics, like you say, they make money, and it might not be the full retail price, right? But you're expanding that player base. It makes fiscal sense. And I think because they've been a step behind, they need a vehicle like Game Pass. So I would be willing to do a pizza bet over this one. Like, hands down, coming to Game Pass, day one, day two, or day two. Yeah.
One day late. You can be on Game Pass, just you're going to be one day late.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like I would almost guarantee it at this point, which is exciting because games like Battlefield live or die on a dedicated community of players and a healthy one. And so I think Game Pass, people might be skeptical if they're going to hit the mark if they didn't enjoy, if there are people like me who really thrived in Bad Company, Battlefield 3, 4, and they're looking for the heyday. But they're like, well, 1 was cool. It didn't really grab me. And then 5 was a technical mess. It wasn't really that fun to play. I think they get to prove it. And a ton of people will buy in on Game Pass. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm already paying. I'll download that. I'll jump in. And that's exactly what they need. So
I completely agree. And yeah, I think the deal's been made. I think this is going to be one of the biggest titles of the year. And I think we're going to see it on Game Pass. And it's going to be it's going to be a win for Xbox. So
I wonder.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
Wonder.
The only thing I wonder is Game Pass is so new that we're used to feeling like things come in it and they are in it like forever. I wonder if this is like one of the first times, because it is such a big AAA title, that it comes into Game Pass and it's there for a quarter, like 3 months maybe, not some of the longer tails. And so you get to play it for free, you test it out, you're in the community, you're invested, and then this might be one of the first times when we really haven't seen the life cycle of a AAA title third party launching into Game Pass. I just wonder how long it'll be there. I really hope they don't go with like the 1 month, like play it for this month. Like, I think you need to have it long enough to build up that base, but it'll be really interesting to see. So that'd be just something I'm keeping my eye on.
Got you. Yeah. So moving into E3, what's your what if your wildest dream could come true, what would it be?
Oh, I'm like looking at my notebook. I have like 100 and I wrote little stars next to them. So I'm going to be good. I'm going to list. I think my wildest dreams, because I love the intrigue and nuance, is some kind of Game Pass announcement in partnership with Nintendo. I want retroactively all of the people who spent hours and hours scouring the bookshelves behind Phil Spencer and the rest of the team where the Nintendo Switch was prominently displayed to have some kind of announcement. The full dream is like Game Pass will be coming in some capacity to the Switch, whether it's streaming as an xCloud service exclusively. I think that would be a mind blower. That one, I'm not going to double down like I did for Battlefield, but that's a boy can dream. I want to will it into existence because taking that stuff on the road with the Switch sounds really great to me. So that's the dream. What about you? You're a big dreamer guy. You're a dreamer, man.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I've said this. I've been saying this. I've been saying this for quite some time. But I would love to see Mario like just smack somebody off the stage and smash, and then we hear the plasma grenade come out and stick on his large Italian nose. And, and then, Master Chief is finishing the fight in Smash. Something like that. Like, I would absolutely just lose my mind. It would be be game over for me. To see, Smash is a collection of just some of the most iconic game characters ever. And if Chief were to make it in, like, it would be huge.
Oh. And it fits so well. They have so many characters, but like the first one that comes to mind is Solid Snake is already in the game, has been, those types of characters exist. And so that's the dream, but I feel like that could happen. If that's announced, I think that's immediately what people would point back on the shelves. They're like, I knew it. I knew it.
Yes.
Master, that's what that was. And then everyone can come back and watch this video and be like, wow. Andy's a moron, but he dreams big and we love him, So Josh, if you had to list like one more dream, I know that we got to keep it tight, but I love dreaming at E3. So hit me, give me something else.
The other dream for me would be that they lean heavily into the 20th anniversary of Xbox, and we see either a collection of classic Xbox games, all in one, kind of like Rare Replay. And I'm talking games like Crimson Skies, Mech Assault. I would love to see Ubi get in there and maybe do a remake of like Chaos Theory or a Splinter Cell collection that would also kind of it would be a nod to the original Xbox. The biggest one for me, though, by far, would be that we get to play Crimson Skies in some way in the online. That would be just huge for me if we were able to do that. Uh-oh. Did I lose you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm here. I'm just stunned because you mentioned Splinter Cell. And can you imagine an announcement of like a remastered collection? And then they're like, also, we finally convinced Ubisoft to stop being the world's biggest jerks and finally release a new Splinter Cell game. And everyone will be like, Microsoft, you're the best person / entity / company in the world. We love you. Thank you very much. Good night. And then everyone would just, out of solidarity, power down their machines for like a moment of gameplay silence. And then everyone would get really hyped. And I want to say, the beautiful people in chat, if you have some dreams, post it in there. We want to hear what you guys are thinking. The other dream for me that I want to have happen is I want to see a partnership with Ubisoft announced, just like the EA Play partnership. They've been talking over the last few months of shifting into a live service kind of persistent model. And I think that as a vehicle, when you were talking about microtransactions just a few minutes ago, that's exactly what I thought about. I thought about, okay, if that's their new strategy, that's where they'll make their money, then Game Pass is such a good vehicle. And then it's one step closer to the future that I think that Microsoft is walking towards, to being that Netflix of games, having these great IPs and exclusives, even if it's just timed or just a vehicle where you can play them day and date. I think that would be a big dream. And then I'm going to cheat and I'm going to sneak one more in here, which would be an exclusive partnership release with Kojima Studios is going to be announced at E3. It's going to be an Xbox exclusive because that's the narrative that they have to rail against. Xbox doesn't have any games. Well, they're all coming. And I think this would be it'd be a console seller. And that's a captive audience from the PlayStation side of the house. There's a long-standing, you got Death Stranding being an exclusive over there. And, going back to the bookshelf, his new studio statue was right there next to the Switch on Phil Spencer's desk. So I want that more than anything. I think that's a big dream, but I'm dreaming it anyways.
Hey, dream those dreams, baby. That's what I say. Dream those dreams. So, and I mean, I like the thought of, you know, Ubisoft having like an EA Play subscription, getting pulled into the umbrella of Game Pass. Like, yeah, I'm all about it. Like, I'm all about it. I mean, they have just an incredible library that would be great to be able to go back and revisit. And ultimately, I just want to see Sam Fisher again in glorious 4K. You know what I mean?
Just be still my heart. That's all I want. Got to make sure that my blood pressure, how we're doing here, because that would be it. And I'm looking at the chat here. Axel Wolf is looking for State of Decay 3.
Okay.
Yes, sir, ma'am, him, her, they. Let's get it. I think that is the first game had some charm. Was such a cool game. I think I was a little let down by State of Decay 2 because the charm of being kind of like a more of an indie side of the game, and then having time to polish it for the second entry in the series and not quite making it. It was still a little janky. I think with the full support of Microsoft, State of Decay 3 has so much potential, and I just want to cash in. So that is a great dream. Have you ever played State of Decay? Is that your...
I have not jumped in. I have spent some time with some of the people that work on that game at different meetups and things here in the Seattle area, and it looks like a game that I could totally get into, right? Like I like the overall concept of it, and honestly, as I've started playing more and more Xbox, it is a game that I want to check out. And so, if we saw something new there, I think that would be great. I'm wondering about, speaking of zombies, I'm wondering about Back 4 Blood, if we see it announced as a Game Pass exclusive. That's you guys can't see Andy because of the B-roll right now. I'll switch over. He's just He's got this permagrin.
I'm looking for the opposite of an EpiPen. I need like a sedative quick because I'm just amped up. Left 4 Dead, can't agree more. What a treasure. Both Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead 2, and Back 4 Blood. Every critic and outlet that's gotten to play the alpha or the beta is just singing its praises, which is only a positive sign. I want to jump in with some friends and I want to go survive the horde. Like, I want to get scared. I want to see just guts and blood and survive. I love that whole universe. So sign me up. I'm there.
Axel Wolf says, honestly, I just want Xbox to show us the games they've announced and give us some of them this year. Yeah, and I've said this on a handful of shows. I really think the words like out now and out soon and here's a roadmap for the release dates, these are all things that Xbox needs to do this year at E3, right? There needs to be, I would say, at minimum 2 games that they're like out right now. Like, you can download them right after this. The other thing that I really hope we see is, and early next week, pre-download the beta for Halo Infinite so that we can start playing, we can get our first taste of the multiplayer, maybe even next week, or the week after. That's, or out now, like whatever. I'm ready.
Totally agree. I mean, I can get swept up in that hype so easily, but I think it's important to point out that responsibility that Microsoft has, right? We were supposed to get Halo Infinite as a launch title. It didn't happen. It got pushed a year. There were games that were slated to come out in 2021. And so, yeah, the definitive dates. What does the fall schedule look like? And when you said out now, I think the number one shadow drop is going to be Psychonauts 2. I think that's going to be a tease. Well, I imagine Jack Black will probably get on stage, say some stuff about being a part of that project or how he loves working with Tim Schafer. And then it'll be an out today because they've been, I think it was over 6 or 7 months ago. I think Ryan McCaffrey was doing over at IGN doing an interview with Tim Schafer, and he had said that they were in the polishing stage. And so I think that game is ready to go. I think that's one of their answers of like, well, what's an exclusive game? What can we play? What can we expect? So yeah, they have big expectations to fill. I think the way that they could flub this one is showing all these games, but they're all slated for 2022, and Halo Infinite is just one pillar. But yeah, I think they're going to do a great job. They have enough content and games to kind of balance it, but they do have that responsibility to their gamer base.
Xbox can win E3 simply by giving us dates, I think that's what they need in their corner. It's just dates. When are these games releasing? Right? PlayStation is showing gameplay, giving release dates. Nintendo, Xbox has, we've seen a lot of games that are coming soon, but we need to know when, and it needs to happen. It needs to happen this Sunday. Like, we need to know when these games are coming out.
I'm looking at chat here, and Scrub Nurse mentioned a few minutes ago about, what's up with third-party deals and developer acquisitions. And I think acquisitions, I hope another dream, Sega, but the third-party deals, what I'm thinking is, I think E3 gets people very excited and expectations get inflated. And I think the pandemic is very real, and we've seen the slide already. And so I wonder what the balance will be of the reality of COVID and what it did for the slated games that they thought were coming out this year. And so if we do see some of these Xbox game studios, AAA first party sliding, are they trying to slot in? Like, that's why I think Battlefield will be day and date. Like, Game Pass will be the way to have things to deliver, even if we see some extensions. Like Jason Schreier was talking about Starfield. We haven't brought that up yet. I think we get gameplay, but I think that's a game that he says that might even be late 2022. And at best, maybe early, maybe even the spring timeframe. So knowing that even for Bethesda, one of the biggest acquisitions that we got, the next thing coming from them might be next year. I think that Scrub Nurse makes a great point. Just that third-party relationships will be huge. So I'm excited to see those announcements along with what we can expect from the first-party side of things.
And I think that's okay as long as it's give us a solid date. Don't just give us 2022, right? Unless the show has been like, I really feel that Xbox needs to do what Nintendo did in the first year of the Switch, and it needs to be that, like, July is this game, August this game, September this game. Like, it needs to be just game after game, so that they need to get the narrative to stop that Xbox has no games, right? I mean, it's not even true. It's not true anyway. There's so much to play. But when it comes to these brand new games, yeah, these exclusives, it's time for Xbox to shine. And I think part of the reason they bought Bethesda is because Bethesda has games ready to go, and Xbox said, we want those as exclusives. And that is going to help fill the void that they may potentially still have with some of their in-house studios. the amount of studios that Xbox now owns compared to 7 years ago is I mean, the numbers, it's crazy.
Oh, insane.
It's crazy. And so, like, you know, you hear everybody saying, like, just, you know, keep your expectations. Like, I think as Xbox fans, we are all expecting games. It's kind of time. Like, if this E3 was nothing more than, oh, this might be coming out or this will be coming soon, like, it's going to be pretty disheartening. But I don't think that's the case, and I think the Bethesda deal is going to be one of the ways that they avoid that from happening. So
yeah, I can see that, definitely. I think that one of the things that has to happen, and I think that we've got kind of enough breadcrumb trails from PR, marketing, and the conversations, the roundtable at Bethesda plus Microsoft when they finally announced what they were going to be doing. I think that Starfield, regardless of the release date, is going to be the first time where they slap on the exclusive to Xbox and start answering that question that they haven't answered yet, which Phil Spencer is such I was going to say a humanitarian for the games industry. I don't know that makes a ton of sense. But I mean, he's a gamer first, and he's looking out for the gamer. But he's also responsible for walking a tightrope. So every time we've discussed exclusivity, it's like, yes, some will be. It'll be case by case. And I think that they've had to walk that tightrope from a PR perspective. But I think that's a way where we get some gameplay, Starfield, a window. I don't know that we get a date. I want a date. I think they need to give us a date. I don't think we get it. But I think the way that they kapow is just like, boom, exclusive to Xbox, mic drop, we're out.
Scrub Nurse in chat says Xbox has been holding back because they've just acquired for the last couple of years. It is starting to be the time, 5 years to 2023. So big time games and deals should be hinted at soon. And I think this Sunday is the day. I think this Sunday is the day to make that a reality. You know, and not only do we want to find out about the new games and find out that some are going to be out now, but I mean, Game Pass has the potential to add, 25 games, 50 games, all the rest of the Bethesda library, right? To, again, just bring so much more value to that service.
Mm-hmm.
And please, for the love of everything, announce that the cloud gaming is out of beta, because I still don't have my invite, and I was out of town this weekend, and all I wanted to do was, the internet was so bad at the hotel I was at, I couldn't get remote play to work on my iPad. I could do it with my phone through LTE, but I wanted to play the show with my dad, and I couldn't get it to work. So I'm ready for the cloud. I'm ready to be able to jump into the cloud gaming on iOS. So hopefully that comes out. So any final thoughts, Andy, before we wrap this one up?
Is there anything I want to sneak in here? I mean, I think we've talked about it all. I think that they have a lot to fit in 90 minutes, right? That's the Bethesda plus Xbox show is 90 minutes. They have a lot to do, and it's mostly like, what are we going to see, and how is that information going to come out even past E3, right? How do we lead into summer? I think the Halo multiplayer beta will probably be in August. That's my guess. But yeah, I need a sedative. That's all I need. Like, I need to be even keel to make it through not just the Xbox specific, but all of E3 and all the game announcements and Game Fest. So I'm excited to be here, and we'll have a lot to talk about over the next few weeks, because it's going to be hard to fit it into the show,
One final question from chat from Axel says, do you think they'll announce some kind of streaming device dedicated to xCloud? And I think that is the Series S.
I think that Phil Spencer mentioned, I think this is probably what Axel is talking about. He mentioned the idea of like a Fire Stick level cloud plugin. I think it's coming. I think it's a matter of time. I think from just a priority perspective, they have too much to do. So I don't think we'll see it at E3. But that's the kind of thing, if you remember, it was leaked, but they tweeted out, they were going to tweet out the Series S as just an announcement. Check it out. Hey, it's not even a show. And so I think the landscape of how things get communicated has changed. So I wouldn't be surprised if this fall, but I think a lot of that depends on how comfortable they are with, like you said, moving xCloud out of beta and having real confidence that it can serve a pretty big population would be the next step, right? So this fall, I think, would be the earliest. But if I'm being realistic, I think it might be a little bit further down the road. But I'm there for it. Just imagining plugging that thing into my TV and just needing a controller. That's such a low bar for entry, right? I can have that's the evolution. So if my friend is paid $500 for a PS5 or doesn't have the budget, we can still play games if he just gets a controller and the Fire Stick on his TV streaming. And that's the dream. And that's how they're trying to keep this Xbox ecosystem or Xbox network open to as many people as possible. So I'm there for it. And I think it's coming. I just don't think it's going to be this E3.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation for sure, because that device you would have to have pretty good Wi-Fi for, right? And I would assume they would want you to plug it in. That would be my guess to get the best. But then it'd be interesting. I wonder if fall is late enough. I wonder how far along cloud gaming is, and then eventually we're probably going to see those. We'll probably see an Xbox app on some of these smart TVs, and and then you just have to buy the controller at that point. So, let's go ahead and announce something. Like, but at the same time, I mean, if they do announce it, it might hinder console sales a little bit, right? For some people, which I don't know.
Oh, sure.
I don't know if they care as much about that as they do about just getting people into the ecosystem. And they could also say, hey, if you sign up for Ultimate Plus, maybe it's $5 more, maybe it's $20 a month, but it includes the device and the controller, and you can signups begin in August, and the first batch will be rolling out. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is there, but I mean, we've seen Stadia, we're seeing what is it, like Luna or whatever from Amazon. So Xbox won't be far behind.
Yeah, I think that I think the serotonin and adrenaline got to my brain. I don't think we see anything this year. It's one of those things where you can't let Pandora out of the box because you can't get it back in, and we've seen what's happened with Stadia. They're struggling. And so I don't think that Microsoft is in any rush to put out a platform that isn't ready. And they have plenty of places to play already. So I think that there's a real opportunity for them, but they're not going to rush it. It has to work, and it has to be good. So
agreed.
They can do it, but I just want it. I want the world where we can all play together, and I want my friends who have different consoles, who can't afford a new box, to be able to play at that low level of entry. That's the dream. So a little bit of dreaming from me, willing it into existence, but it's coming. I just don't know how soon.
I love it. Hey, guys, thank you so much for hanging out today. Chat, we appreciate you so much. We do this live, YouTube, on Xbox Now, I don't think I have I don't have enough subs for the vanity URL yet. So you just got to look for Xbox Now to go sub. Actually, I think you can go to xboxnow.tv/YouTube. And that is the channel. But we're live Wednesday mornings, 8 a.m. if you want to come be a part of the conversation. Andy, where can people find you?
Yeah, chat, you guys are gorgeous, beautiful people. So happy to have you here. You can find me on Twitter at my name is Andy, aka Blandy Yeet. Come at me. I love talking about games. That's why I'm there. And so I'm excited. Josh, you're ubiquitous. You have so many places to be found. Where can they find you, my friend?
At N64 Josh everywhere. And we are still working on xboxnow.tv, getting articles up. And so stay tuned for that. It's going to be a very exciting week. I am now a regular panel member on the Xbox Factor podcast every Thursday morning at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So coming out, that is on Double Barrel Gaming. You can check that out. And so there we go. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye now.